So I saw Inside Out 2 today, and you wanna know my honest thoughts in the film? Boy, it sucked. It was such a major letdown. It is one of the worst Pixar films I have ever seen. Boy, it sucked. It was such a major letdown. It is one of the worst Pixar films I have ever seen. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Studios here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I'm going to be doing a review on one of my most anticipated films of 2024, Inside Out 2. So, Inside Out 2 is the sequel to the beloved Pixar film Inside Out, and is directed by Kelsey Mann, who has made his debut in debut with a feature length Pixar film. The last Pixar project he made was Monsters University Party Central, and it came out just this year in 2024, and it stars Amy Poehler, Maya Hawke, Kensington Thalman, Liza Lapira, Tony Hale, Louis Black, Phyllis Smith, Ayo Edebiri, is it Ayo or Io? Lily Mar, Grace Liu, Adele Exarchopoulos, did I pronounce the name right? Diane Lane, Kyle MacLachlan, Paul Waterhauser, Yvette Nicole Brown, etc. And so the film tells the story taking place a few years after the events of the first film, where Riley has now grown into a teenager, and Riley is facing puberty, and yeah, that causes the puberty alarm to turned on, because if you remember at the end of the first Inside Out film, they put a puberty alarm sign, and then Joy's like, what is that thing? Oh well, it doesn't matter. And so it goes on, like, resulting Riley to go to puberty. So I mean Riley to have puberty. So Riley is still Riley still loves hockey. Her love for hockey personality is still there, but she actually wants to become the best hockey player she could ever be. So she goes to this university for hockey, hoping to get on the hockey team and impress her coaches and other people. And so yeah, she wants to spend the rest of her life playing hockey. And also, the film also reveals that apparently Riley has two best friends that she's been having since childhood, but it was never addressed in the first film. Names were Grace and what's the other one? Brie, I think. I'm not sure, but that's just what I assume based on my memory. But I know one of their names is oh yeah, Valentina. Grace and Valentina. Well, I'm not sure if I got the other one right, but I know the Asian-looking one is Grace. And so yeah, Riley's three friends have like stick together for like a very long time, and then they go to oh wait, no, it's Brie. I remember now. Yeah, it's Brie. Valentina is someone who I'll mention later. So yeah, she goes to camp, and then Valentina, or Val Ortiz, is the girl who Riley idolizes because she is the best hockey player, and so Riley idolizes Valentina, and Riley is like pretty much motivated to impress Valentina and be with the cool kids, which leads into a conflicting friendship relationship with her former two best friends. Meanwhile, at headquarters, we get your emotions: anxiety, envy, ennui, and embarrassment. And so they basically give Riley more complex personality with complex emotions. And anxiety pretty much wants to become the new Joy and control Riley's life, which result in the original emotions to get sucked out, and they must find a way to get back to the headquarters and ensure that Riley doesn't go out of character. So yeah, now Now, as for my thoughts on the first Israel film, if you guys didn't see my review of it, go check it out. But just a quick summary on this one. I still really like Inside Out. I dug the hell out of Inside Out. It's not one of my favorite Pixar films. It's not in my top 10 favorite Pixar films, but keep in mind, I have given 14, well, now 15, Pixar films a full 5 stars. And Inside Out is probably one of the weaker 5-star movies. It is only a low 5 stars, but I still love it regardless. I think it is a masterpiece. It's a very well made film, and just the idea of emotion controlling mind is such a great idea. I kind of suspected that for a long time that there would be an Inside Out sequel, and so when the Inside Out sequel was announced, while I was like, okay, well, I was like, I knew they're gonna do it. I was also wondering, how are they actually going to pull off a sequel? A movie about 5 simple emotions controlling Riley's mind. How are they going to do that? But then when they actually revealed the idea, the premise of the story behind it, with Riley becoming a teenager and having new emotions to make Riley a more complex person, that got me on board. I was like, wow, new emotions. Yeah, that totally got me on board. And the teaser trailer, why I did not put this in my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2004 list, that was just because I didn't get fully hyped for the film until the official trailer dropped. Yeah, the full-length trailer. I was obsessed with that trailer. It got me to be even more hyped for that film, and all thanks to that film, that trailer. Inside Out 2 eventually became my most anticipated animated film of the year, and certainly in my top 5 most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. I mean, I was so bought into the idea of not only the new emotions being there, like Envy being voiced by Maya Hawke, aka Robin, one of my favorite Stranger Things characters, and Envy just looking too adorable, but just the idea of Riley, like the direction that they were going to take Riley when Riley goes to high school, and they show her friend, they dive into their relationship with her friends, and pretty much it has it gave a very similar concept to Monsters University. Like it gave me Monsters University vibes when the your own personal friends versus the cool kids. And I could already relate to this film a lot just looking at the trailer for it. Now, as I'm speaking right now, there's no official reviews for this film. There's just the first reactions for it. Saying that, oh, this movie's a masterpiece and just as good as the first film. I don't expect this to get a higher rating than the original, even my point of view. I just hope it's at least in the 90s, like maybe 92%, 91%, something like that, 93, 94. But considering that the first film has a 98% Rotten Tomatoes, I don't think this film will reach the standard. So today is like was the opening day of the film in my country, and boy, the theater was packed. I mean, the cinema lobby was just super crowded. I had to face a super long line all the way, when I was about to buy my tickets. In fact, I was going to go to this one specific showing of the film, like an hour after I arrived, but suddenly it was sold out. So I had to go to the next one, which was almost sold out, but at least I got a seat. So just can you imagine how crazy that is? That just shows that Inside Out 2 will be a success. Sadly, though, there are some people who doubt this film because, Pixar has gone downhill, and this is just another Pixar sequel. Well, yeah, I know Pixar hasn't been the best at sequels, but I actually defend Pixar sequels. I don't think they're that bad. I mean, you got the Toy Story sequels except for, and then you got Incredibles 2, which I think is one of the Pixar's most underrated films. And even though it is the highest grossing Pixar film, it has become underrated lately. But I feel like Pixar has gotten some unnecessary hate now, and up to the point where I feel like I need to make a separate video addressing the inside, no, not the inside, but the Pixar hate nowadays, because of just one simple announcement that people tend to overreact to. But yeah, I mean, before I get into my thoughts, I just want to say that I had the best theatrical experience of the year so far. I guess though, movie magic in the theater is really does feel like magic when you're like in a packed theater with a crowd, and yeah, like the crowd absolutely like you can tell that they were all loving the film. That the people beside me were crying, and yeah, yeah. Lately, a lot of the theaters I go to are either half full or like very few people are just straight up empty. But yeah, it's really nice to for when a movie theater gets crowded like that. Hopefully, it'll be the same for Deadpool, Wolverine. But yeah, now I went in knowing I was gonna love the film, but as for my personal thoughts on the film after seeing it, I gotta say, wait, I gotta say, okay. Pixar, you freaking blew me away. Oh my goodness. While I was watching the film, I felt like a total inside out fanboy because this movie literally exceeded my expectations. I mean, of course, my expectations were very high, but the fact that this movie actually exceeded them, it is a huge accomplishment for both Disney and Pixar. And I feel like, well, we're in probably the best Disney era yet because the previous Pixar film that came out last year, Elemental, is not only my favorite Pixar film. I mean, everyone knows it's my favorite Pixar film, but not only that, but on reflection, Elemental is now in my top 10 favorite movies of all time list, replacing Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse is now, Across the Spider-Verse is now my top 15, but yes guys, I now prefer Elemental over Spider-Verse, the more I think about it. And Elemental would now be my second favorite movie of 2023, second only behind Wish. And yeah, I don't care what anyone says. And thank God I voted for Elemental in the Kids' Choice Awards for Best Animated Film. Best Animated Film. And the fact that we got Elemental and now Inside Out 2, it's such a glory for Pixar, man. I mean, yeah, Disney and Pixar are two of the best animated studios. I still think Walt Disney Animation Studios is the best, but Pixar just has never been better than Pixar has never gotten better than this. Yeah, Inside Out 2 is straight up better than the first film in every single way possible. Now, I don't expect people to agree that it's better than the first film. I won't. I know a lot of people will favor the first one more, mainly because of just how high the ratings of the first one are. But I hope that this film wins Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. If it goes to Lord of the Rings, fine. But if not Lord of the Rings, then it has to be Inside Out 2. I mean, we've waited so long for just a moment where when Disney can win Best Animated Feature. I mean, other studios had their chance now. Netflix, Studio Ghibli, y'all had your chance now. Give Disney back the time to shine. And yeah, now yeah, I know people from what I've seen said that this is a return to form for Pixar. Well, technically, I wouldn't say this was a return to form for Pixar because of how much I love Elemental and how much Elemental means a lot to me. Heck, I even say that Inside Out 2 is not even as good as Elemental. Like, I still prefer Elemental slightly more, but I gotta say, this actually might just be my second favorite Pixar film, second only behind Elemental. And yes, it tops the two Incredibles movies, which I think is the best Pixar franchise ever. It tops the Toy Story trilogy. It tops some of the more independent Pixar films like Ratatouille and WALL-E, and even my childhood favorite movie, Monsters Inc. Yeah, that is a huge accomplishment, and it just really shocked me by how good it is. Now, Now, I will admit though, I do have a bias towards theatrical experiences. Yeah, sometimes a bad I can still love a film from a bad theatrical experience, but sometimes, the best theatrical experience make me automatically praise the movie, and only for me to just like the film less when I watch it a second time, in either a more empty theater or at home. So I will eventually rewatch this movie again on theaters to justify my thoughts in it. Um, but there are other movies I'm probably do it in July. Because there are just other movies I want to prioritize first. There are other movies I want to see first before my second viewing of Inside Out 2, like Bike Riders, which is the next movie I'm seeing. A Quiet Place Day One, and Horizon and American Saga. Yeah, I'm seeing those films in theaters. Despicable Me 4, hell no, I am not seeing that in theaters. I'm seeing it online, and yeah, I'm gonna watch Inside Out 2 for a second time over seeing Despicable Me 4 at least once in theaters, because let's be real here. I feel like this is a movie that people need to see, because this is a staple example of what animation should be. Not that childish, kiddish animated, babysitting garbage like Despicable Me 4, which is clearly only made for money. Yeah, and I don't understand why there are people more excited for Despicable Me 4 than Inside Out 2. But anyways, yeah, on with the details on what makes this movie a masterpiece. Okay, well, I will admit though, it's not as... Now, it won't make you cry as hard as the first film. Oh, wait, well, there is an emotional scene at the end. There is that, remember in the first Inside film where you got Riley crying because she realized that she screwed up and all that stuff. Yeah, but there's a scene in the film that was like that, and I did cry. And yeah, I mean, not as emotional, but I'd say the narrative around it is better and feels more relatable. And by the way, relatable is a key word for this film, and I'll get to it. I'll talk about it later. There's an emotional scene like that, but I only cried in that one scene, and there's no, take me to the moon, take her to the moon for me a moment. Yeah, as one of the reviews said, yeah, there's no that. But even if it's not as emotional as the first film, that doesn't mean you shouldn't say it's better, because, I mean, even though you don't have to rely on emotions to just prefer a film, to say, oh, this is better. Yes, I can see people preferring the first Inside Out movie, but there will be, yeah, I guarantee there will be some people who will say this is better than the first film. Yeah, but what makes it stronger than the first one for me is, well, pretty much almost everything else besides the emotion, besides the tear-jerking moments. It's the writing of this film is so good. I think when it comes to the writing, the story, it is probably the best I've seen from Pixar yet. I am not exaggerating. I mean, it takes the concept of what's going on inside the head to a whole new level. It is more grounded, deeper, more mature, and more relatable with more powerful life messages. And yeah, I was in love with the direction they took Riley's character, and I think Riley is one of the best Pixar characters, period. And I'd say she is one of the best written animated characters, period. And yes, I will talk about the emotions, but I want to talk about Riley because it is so good. And I think that as much as, I love the aspect with the inside the head and the emotions and all that stuff, I think the Riley aspect, the storyline with Riley is so much stronger. It is the star of the film. And yeah, Riley will always be my favorite Inside Out character ever. No doubt about that. What I love about this idea of Riley is that it feels actually so realistic. Like, teenagers can totally just see themselves in Riley. I just straight up saw myself in Riley and what she was going for. So yeah, basically Riley is this teenager who hit puberty, and she has this and she has friends, but yeah, but then she starts to get anxious and all this stuff. She gets worried about everything, and she wants to hang out with the popular kids just to impress them, so that she can be liked. But what this movie's message is trying to say is, don't strive for perfection. Don't strive to be better than everyone else. Just be yourself. And I like that message. It is like, just like with the first film, it gives a message that you've never heard of before. Because one of my common problems with animated films lately is that they deliver the same old dumb message that you've heard so many times, like, oh, about teamwork, about friendship. But yeah, while this movie tackles themes about friendship, it goes harder. And I think this is one of the greatest portrayals of teenagers I have ever seen. And yeah, so likewise, I mentioned earlier, Riley has two friends named Grace and what's that name? Bobby, like that. Like I can't. I know Grace, Bree. Oh yeah, Bree. Yeah, there's that. And you really do feel the connection, as you know, they were friends since childhood. They've been like hanging out together for years, and now they're going to go to high school together. What happens is that the other two girls end up on the same on a different high school as Riley. Even though all three of them are in hockey camp, and Riley just feels really bad that she's gonna separate from her two friends. And yeah, there's a lot of moments with Riley crying in this film. But then but all of a sudden, thanks to anxiety's actions and plans for Riley, anxiety wants Riley to ditch her own friends in favor of the cooler kids led by Val Argies, which by the way, Val is freaking hot. Yeah, I don't blame Riley for trying to touch. But what makes Riley so relatable is her small detailed actions. Storyline, not all of it, but I think I related to Riley much more here. I tend to get socially awkward. Yeah, Riley was very socially awkward to Val, and even I felt the same way. I was so awkward too. Yeah, I was so very awkward too. And I think that is just such a realistic portrayal of teenagers, just socially awkward. Yeah, that is like the one of the basic common knowledges of teenagers and how they grow up. They are socially awkward, and as a former adolescent myself, who kind of still acts like a teenager despite being an adult. Yeah, I admit. Yeah, in my personal life, I still act like a teenager despite being an adult. I see that is just how I see myself in Riley. And then Riley just gets so obsessed with his Val. Yeah. Now, there were like some rumors going around that there was going to be an LGBTQ representation between Riley and Val. Okay, well, I'm gonna say it right now. Riley and Val don't get into a sexual and romantic relationship. They're just friends, and Riley's just like, oh, you're so cool. I want to hang out with you. However, I guarantee you, people are going to ship Riley and Val. I 100% guarantee you. And they are basically Elsa and Honey Marin 2.0. They are basically Elsa and Honey Marin, except that they're teenagers and in a more realistic environment, if you know what I mean. And also, yeah, Riley does start to change a lot, and I like this whole idea of them showing how Riley can change, and Riley gets to feel more complex emotions like, anxiety, envy, boredom, and embarrassment. That is like the personality traits of a teenager, and Riley definitely does, Riley does need more sophisticated emotions. I think anxiety was right in that because teenagers are more sophisticated. They feel more things. Like, Riley tends to get worried about all the time. In fact, one of the things I relate to about Riley the most is how pretty much Riley just gets lays in bed just thinking about, what's gonna happen to her? Oh, is this gonna happen to me? Like, is that gonna happen to me? Yeah, Riley basically imagines things. Like imagines what her future would look like because it's actually anxiety who plans for the future, like what she said, and I relate to that because when I lie in bed, a lot of times I think about, oh no, what's gonna happen to me? Is this gonna happen to me? Is something bad going to happen to me? Is something good going to happen to me? And yeah, and envy also, well, Riley's also very envious, like she wants to be like Val, yeah. And there is a scene in the film where Riley gets a new hair, gets red hair, and by the way, Riley with red hair is just freaking adorable, man. I love that a lot. Seeing Riley be like that, it's so good, man. And yeah, I guess I am talking a little too much about Riley, but I don't want. Maybe I won't get into more details now. Well, something happens to Riley later on where I won't get into detail on that part, but I'm not sure if what I said is exactly a spoiler, but I mean, bigger things happen to Riley. I didn't mention some of the bigger things, by the way, and some of the more relatable things, like more relatable things. So now let's get into the emotions and why I thought of them. Yeah, the emotions. Yeah. And yeah. First, I want to give my thoughts on the new emotions, and I gotta say, they're actually even better than the old emotions. Well, overall, well, I'd say embarrassment and ennui, not really. In fact, ennui is probably the weakest emotion. Embarrassment is lower tier, but envy and anxiety are my top two favorite emotions now. Yeah, they are the two goats of emotions. And yeah, they're just amazing. Envy is my favorite emotion. It's my number one. She is so adorable, and my main emotion tends to be, well, both envy and anxiety. But I feel like envy's adorableness is just what makes her the best one. Because, and plus the fact that there's a good reason for her being small and cute, because because she's meant to be jealous of everyone else. So that's why they made her small and cute, and I think that is brilliant. And anxiety is also another one of the main emotions I get lately. So, I mean, envy and anxiety are the ones who define me more. And one detail that you saw in the trailer, if you saw in the trailer, one thing you can easily notice is that envy is the antagonist of the film. Is she like a sheer villain? Like she has no redemption? I did say I predict that the anxiety would redeem herself. I will say though that anxiety is the only one of the new emotions who is antagonistic. Envy does work for anxiety, but she's not really a villain overall. She's I wouldn't really consider her a villain. Now, I said that anxiety would redeem herself. Did she redeem herself? Okay, that is one plot point I won't say. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that. You just need to see it for yourself. But I will say this. As an antagonist, anxiety is honestly the best antagonist, Pixar antagonist, period. Yes, she literally tops Syndrome. How did that happen? Just how did that happen? Like, how did I ever see a Pixar antagonist better than Syndrome? Syndrome has always been my favorite Pixar villain, and I guarantee that Syndrome was never gonna be topped. As a villain, yes, Syndrome, because Syndrome's evil, and Anxiety is not really evil. She's not like the I'm so evil, I'm gonna hurt you type of character. She's just more of, the definition of antagonist, the one who opposes the protagonist. Like, she's basically opposing Joy. But as an antagonist, Anxiety is the best one. I mean, she literally overpowers Joy, and at first you actually tend to agree with Riley, and pretty much Riley, like, Joy and Anxiety basically have disagreements because they have different ideas on Riley. Anxiety wants Riley to have the best future, while Joy just wants Riley to be the same Riley that she is. And so anxiety changes, like sucks all the emotions out to sucks all the emotions out to to get to control Riley and change Riley. And yeah, that's and throughout the film, you're like I was on my toes throughout. I was like wondering, how are they going to solve this conflict? How are they going to stop anxiety? And even the climax later on, when you get to the third act, it was just so tense and just exciting. It really left me on the edge of my seat and on my toes. And yes, I got chills on both my arms and my legs, more on my legs. Yeah, I got so much goosebumps on my legs. I don't remember the last time I've gotten this hard goosebumps. Okay, well, Furiosa and Dune Part 2, yes, and King of Planet of the Apes, yes, I did get goosebumps in those films. And Challenges, I guess, but getting goosebumps in this movie was something else. And something else. And while she does make good points about Riley that you'd agree with, anxiety does go way too far with her antagonistic actions. I won't say what she does to Riley, but I'll just say it goes too far, up to the point where you feel like you'd hate anxiety now. And that's what how you should do an antagonist without being a villain, without being ho ho ho, I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna destroy you. Yeah. It's not that kind of villain. And yeah. Now, when it comes to the mind, the back of Riley's mind, they don't explore as much as they do with the first one, because the first one they go into different places, because I think the first one already went through a majority there, but they do show some new ones, a few new ones. And let me tell you, the ones that they show are even more creative than the one in the first film. Okay, well, I still think the Dream thing, the Dream Productions thing, is the most creative thing in Inside Out. But I mean, I need to talk about the animation. Yeah, the animation style. Is it's next level with its creativity. I mean, there's different animation styles featured here, like this 2D animated character named Blofy. And let me tell you right now, you guys are not ready for Blofy. So I'll just Blofy is hysterical, and the idea behind it is so hilarious. So basically, Blofy is this baby show character. Blofy is based on a baby show that Riley secretly still likes, apparently, and he's a 2D animated cartoon character. He parodies Dora and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with his personality. And what made it so hilarious is that they literally use him to mock TV shows, where basically Blofy is like, oh, do you know what to do next? How do you save them? Like that. And then and then the movie reveals that the baby show character, when they talk to audiences, they literally face a wall. And my whole audience, and plus me, were all laughing hysterically. And also, everyone got so annoyed by Blofy, and they're like, every time Blofy tries to talk to the audiences, they're like, stop, I don't care, shut up. Yeah, it is just hilarious. And speaking of humor, man, this humor is clever. It's actually very smart, and this is the kind of animated humor we don't get nowadays. Of course, you got the sarcasm, like the sarcasm, which you saw in the trailer. I won't talk much about that, and a few other jokes I don't really get it. And there's like a river flowing of thought, similar to a train of thought, but by a river. There's like this. Okay, well, there's this thing with the strings you see in the trailer, which, by the way, looks so gorgeous. It's hard for me to summarize that. That thing is actually very complicated, so I won't get into that. And yeah, the animation and jokes are one thing. Oh yeah, also the score. Now, it still uses the Bundle of Joy soundtrack, like dun 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 dun. Except, but considering that it's not composed by Michael Giacchino, there is a different version of the Bundle of Joy's soundtrack, like a remix of the first one. Not sure which score is better, but we'll see about that. I'll probably re-listen to the score again in this film and just see which one's better. Um, well, I still remember the first one more, but only because I've heard this movie score once. But yeah, so overall, Inside Out 2 is so good, man. I absolutely adored this movie. I already said it. It's my second favorite Pixar film. Yeah, behind Elemental, and yeah, this is the best animated film of the year. I doubt anything will top it. Please give this film a win for best animated feature. Yeah, it is this is the spire. This is the Across the Spider-Verse of Inside Out to me. I know I said this is the Frozen 2 of Inside Out 2 in my allocated reaction, but on reflection, I think that's a bit too much because if I call this Frozen 2 a Pixar, I would have put this as my favorite Pixar film and my favorite film of the year. But I'd say Across the Spider-Verse is a more appropriate comparison to make for this film. And yeah, it is Pixar's Across the Spider-Verse. As far as my 2024 ranking goes, it's not my favorite. I said that. Furiosa and Dune Part 2 are still my two favorites. But out of all the Disney films released this year, this is my favorite one. And I would put this at number 3 in my favorite movies of 2024 so far. So yeah. And it will probably be this would be my second favorite movie of the summer. Second only behind Furiosa, of course. And yeah, this movie does almost everything better than the first film. And it actually doesn't feel like the first film. As much as some of the marketing depicted it to be. If you saw the final trailer, there was like a scene that copies the first one, but thankfully they did not include that scene at all. Yeah. While the emotion scene are great with the new emotions and all that stuff, it is Riley's storyline that really made this film something truly special. And yes, I'd say there were probably as much Riley scenes as emotions. Maybe Riley had more screen time than emotions, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't know how to calculate that. So yeah. So with that said, I'm going to give Inside Out 2, of course, 5 stars out of 5. So also for my review of Inside Out 2, what are your are you excited for this film? Do you think that this will be better than the first film? And yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for more Pixar reviews to come, as well as my top 10 favorite Pixar films. Maybe I could do it tomorrow, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, bye guys.